that my camera? Did you steal my camera?
You might, when you're ready, let her go. So we can get as much on for the
Okay.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Claire.
Chevy, we can all relate to a cross-country motor trip with the family, particularly with a couple of
boat.
kids,
Yeah.
a dog, an aging relative. All those things have personal humorous memories and some horror memories too. But this seems to be, of course, a departure from your usual satirical, offbeat style in a way. Is this a change in you, or does it reflect a change in the humor of the 80s?
Oh boy, I don't know. Of course, Eddie Murphy's the Beatles of comedy now, so that's going to change everything. I just pulled that out of the hat. I remember he said that. I'm going to be the Dave Clark 5 of the 80s. I don't think it reflects a change in comedy of the 80s. It's true that it doesn't have the same bite as some of the work I've done in the past in that way, but there's plenty of satire in there.
Oh, yes.
It's got the Lampoon mark on it.
But you're a family guy here. You're not a rebel.
I play a dad. I play a dad, and I'm doing my darndest to keep that family happy on that trip and to have as much fun as I can as the kids find out. And I think it's a departure in the sense that it's no longer simply a cameo or mugging your way through a role. It's really a character, and that I had to sustain. It wasn't difficult in the sense that it was certainly the most fun I've had making a movie. We shot here, for example, and other very beautiful locations all through Utah and Arizona and Colorado and parts of Jersey City. And I'd say it was the most fun I've ever had, working with Harold Ramis again, Caddyshack.
Well, Caddyshack, didn't you, is this true that you wrote the film as you were actually making it, or is that
In many
just-
cases, we did. One thing that comes to mind is the scene with Billy Murray and myself. We were writing that at lunch and then shooting it after lunch.
Well, wasn't that fun? Or
Oh,
was that...
sure, it's great fun. And in Vacation, there's a sizable amount of improvisation.
Oh, is there?
Of sorts, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Harold and I worked very hard on the script after we got it from John Hughes. We rewrote quite a few parts of it, and but stayed basically with John's script. When it came time to shoot, you're always changing things around a little bit. If you're funny today, you change a line here and there.
Chevy, a lot of people don't like to see the seamy side of life, the rip-off, you know, what do you call it, the underbelly, the kind of lurking violence in a comedy, particularly in a family comedy. Is this important to you as, with your background in satire and with your maybe political and your wit, is it important to you to use this as a vehicle to kind of expose the hypocrisy, or am I answering your question, or do you...
Well, I didn't ask it, but I'll answer yours. You know, it's a good question, but I don't think that we, you know, harp on too many areas that are heavily topical or political or sociological. Basically, the family itself is a unit in this film and somehow manages to stay that way. It's through the fault of the character I play, Clark Griswold, through my own ineptitude, that we end up in certain areas that we didn't mean to, and everything that can go wrong on this trip cross country does go wrong. There's no seamy side of family life in this.
Not at all.
Really, but there is a...
But you're showing
there's a
America.
seamy side to America that we do show here and there. There's a little to it in the cousins we visit. A great deal of poverty there, and there are one or two places.
The rip-off and
capitalistic
yes.
rip-off places, yeah.
And you did that quite deliberately,
Oh, consciously,
exposing
sure.
the great American dream.
A bit, it does, yeah. But I think in the end, it's a hopeful film. It's one that shows that in the end, the family unit is what counts, so long as you're not married to Clark Griswold.
I don't know. I don't think that would be so bad. How do you draw the line in humor between what is based in reality, and you know, when you go over that line to the unreal, which somehow becomes so absurd and then funny.
Yeah.
Is this, how do you do that? Are you born with this, or does it come
Well, it's in the
with
writing, a great deal of that. I mean, and how you play the character. If you're playing a character that's a little broader than life, of course, that's what's demanded of you if you're acting. But there is a close line between the reality, what you really see, a documentative approach, and what is called entertaining. You know, for me, it's just really staying close to the script as much as possible, and giving humor to the character himself. And hopefully, an audience gives you a great deal of liberty, and they're willing to believe anything on the side of fun. You know, clearly there are elements in the film that just couldn't happen. You know, it's like in many of these films where there are outrageous car chases and things. Well, there's a car crash in this film that would clearly wipe a family out like that. But the way we play it, it looks as if it's real, and somehow they made it. It's okay, and it's the kind of thing that's believable because you suspend a certain amount of truth at that point and go with the laughs.
You said that you had more fun making this film than you did making other films. Do you have as much fun actually making films as you did with Second City and Saturday Night Live? Is making films as much fun as it was doing those?
I didn't do Second City, but I did a similar show with John Belushi and some old friends for Matty Simmons called National Lampoon's Lemmings.
That's
but
right.
It's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great deal of fun too, but a real workout because it was a stage show and it's every day, and it's film is a lot harder than television in some ways. I don't think it's harder than a series for 5 years, perhaps, where you're taping day in and day out. But you have to keep shooting, and shooting from different angles all the time. But if you do live television, you got one shot and that's it. You know, you don't redo it and edit, and in a way, that's the most fun of all. You take your chances on live TV. I thought Saturday Night Live was great fun. It was also exhausting, though. I had to write as much as I could and also perform. And, you know, you run out of ideas, and after a while, it's time for a new job. This movie was made under budget, on time, at 90 locations around the country, and with an attitude of relaxed humor. Harold is a very relaxed director, as opposed to Bill Friedkin, who I worked with after on another film called Deal of the Century, who's a very different kind of a director, very tense and works you to the bone. Harold and I know each other from Caddyshack, and we know what's funny, and we know that you have to have a relaxed atmosphere in order to create that. And somehow the luck was on our side, and everything went well. And we had these beautiful locations. Of course, this is a backdrop, but it looks like it.
Don't tell me. Don't tell the audience that. Why, look at the crew we brought here to do this. I want to thank you very much. And
well, you're welcome.
Tell everyone that they've got to see that film.
I hope they do.
Okay.
When is it open in your town? I guess in your town, in your country.
Well, I think
July 29th
it is about July 29th.
Something there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.